Welcome to the Vitality Vault, episode 3. Thanks for joining Vitality Ventures Group again. This time we've gone remote with Lisa Tremayne from New Jersey. Tune in to hear her journey from the beginning and how she used her power as a driving force to place her where she got today. If you're interested in connecting with Lisa, I'll add her contact information below. Feel free to reach out. Last thing from me for now, don't forget to subscribe. Empowered women empower women. Enjoy as Lisa and Shannon take it away.
And this will be interesting to have a conversation. I mean, to have a conversation with my best friend about businessy stuff, but I think we'll maintain some level of professionalism.
I bet we won't.
Well, I've learned from the previous podcast, as long as I don't drink my Red Bull or say 700 times, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I say right a lot, right?
Okay. So, why do I feel a little uncomfortable about this? Okay, here, I'm going to get ready. Okay.
Do you have a list of questions?
Do you have a croissant on your head?
Do you have? There we go.
It's a little less.
No.
It's a little less French pastry than it was the other day.
A little.
It was much more croissanty the other day.
It was home hair, which should not be like judged.
Let's ask the first question for anybody watching this. First, we'll just introduce you, Lisa, who is my absolute best friend since forever and ever and ever.
Thank you.
Lisa Tremayne, and she is, and I'm going to get all of this wrong, probably because, you know, the closer you are to people, the less you know about what they do in their professional life.
This should be fun, though.
I do know more than most people because we work together on the Bloom Foundation, which is I hate saying the word charity. I'm not sure why I don't like saying that word.
It's a very dignified nonprofit.
Okay. Nonprofit, much better, for maternal health and wellness, and a lot of focus on PMAT, which is for the
mental health, really equalizing it to physical health during pregnancy and after childbirth.
There we go. And that's the nonprofit, but what you do from 9 to 5 in lovely Red Bank, New Jersey, not Red Bank.
Wow. Even prettier Eatontown.
What?
Eatontown,
New Jersey. What do you do from 9 to 5? Tell me. Besides a million things, besides save all of the mothers in the world and make them feel better.
Loved and worthy. I created and run the Perinatal Mood and Anxiety Disorder Center. We still say of Monmouth Medical Center, which is part of the Robert Wood Johnson healthcare system. But we outgrew the hospital space. So we're now located off-site in a 4,000 square foot outpatient behavioral health center. We have nurses, we have psych nurse practitioners, we have therapists, we have therapy dogs, we have massage, we have music. It's a mother-baby program, and we take all insurance, including Medicare and Medicaid, so no woman is left having to handle not feeling like herself.
Okay, so basically, mommies have their babies, and then postpartum. I know it's called PMADS now. It used to be called PPD, right?
Stupid, yeah. So it was called PPD because some idiot named it postpartum depression, and I don't even know who that idiot is, and I know it's a man. It was called postpartum depression because the only time it ever came up in the media was when some poor mother who had reached the end of her rope and was psychotic, having a break with reality, hurt herself and or hurt her children. So it became called postpartum depression. However, 1 out of 10, dare I even say 0.75 of a woman is depressed. Most women are anxious, overwhelmed, having panic attacks, having obsessive thinking, racing thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and depression has never entered their mind. So by naming it the wrong thing, it further stigmatizes it, and it further leads to not being able to find women who need help, and everybody gets better, every single person. So it is preventable. So if we were finding out when they were pregnant that they had risk factors, And we bubble wrap them then, they wouldn't have to go through all this. And if we called it the right thing, maybe they would seek help before they were really broken.
Wonderful. Okay, so I mean, yes, Lisa.
How is that?
That was
How-
wonderful.
Thank
So,
you.
so Vitality Vault.
Yeah. What is
Okay.
it? What is Vitality Vault?
This is Vitality Vault. This is a podcast. And what I really love doing is talking to women who have built something wonderful, a business in your, I know you work within a system, but you built something that did not exist before. And there are so many women out there who want to do that. So what I want to get into is the story, like how you started, all
Yeah.
the hills you had to climb, the failures, the successes, things like that, and how you got through that. And ultimately, it starts off with taking a huge risk and ignoring all of the people who are saying, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's not the right time. Do you know what you're doing?
It's not really real. It's
Mhm.
only in your head. No one has that. I've never even heard of that. No one even
Well, I'm
has.
talking about starting the center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get from nothing? Because from what I understand, I know there are a few things that exist now. And I asked you this question yesterday because we're redoing the website
And there aren't any.
foundation. And I looked at this graphic that I hadn't seen it or even visited in a while. You know, you make things and you put them up and you go about your life. And it said I think it was, I should probably pull it up.
Number of inpatient facilities, I think, available within the USA
Right.
was somewhere at dismal.
It was like 11. But this was an old graphic that we made years ago when we were first starting the foundation. And so I texted you, I'm like, well, I'm going to put this up on the new website, but how has this changed? And it hadn't.
No,
And I was like, that is pathetic.
that is pathetic. And it
That's
makes me so angry. And I feel like in doing this now, in this fifth decade of life, I've become much more, I don't give a fuck. And I don't care who says, and you have it, and it's not real, and only women, and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like a feminist that I never wanted to be. And now I am beating that drum. And it is,
Okay, but being a feminist has such a bad connotation
it does.
to it. And I think that should also, just like PPD, maybe we should change
Yes.
that as well, because it's just, what's
I think it comes across as like 1968 feminist, Gloria Steinem, militant, which probably wasn't wrong, really. It was just the first time. And you become this person that's defending women, and by defending women, somehow you're
bitchy.
against men.
You're bitchy, you're bossy.
Yeah.
Bossy is my favorite one. I'm like, I am called bossy so many times. I'm like, yeah,
I am
that's
not.
what you want to call me. Fine, I don't care.
I'm
Bitchy,
called talkative.
bossy, pushy, manly.
I'm called rogue. I go rogue.
Rogue.
Mhm.
Oh,
I was compared to an
fantastic.
organic chicken once, rogue.
What?
Mm-hmm. Who was saying it? And they said, you know, the chickens, what are they called? Free range chickens. I said, I can't wait to hear this. Yes. He's like, you know, they just go rogue. That's you. And I'm like, I feel like that's a compliment. Thank you.
I don't think it was meant as one.
I took it as one.
But again, you got to take it. So, as a rogue warrior that you are from New Jersey, yeah, own that shit,
Let me
right?
just get my cape on.
You created something that really didn't exist. And
And it is uncomfortable. You know, I hate talking about myself. I wish I
stop
could.
right there, because that's the whole point of this
I know.
podcast, is for women to stop hating
I know.
talking about what they do really good, because we do a lot of freaking shit.
I know. And
Um,
I could tell another woman, I could tell you, or I could tell anybody here, like I can defend. There's a staff of 18 here. I never meant for that to happen. You know, I was just a nurse on the floor doing labor and delivery, doing
Okay, for
postpartum.
people who can't see this, she air quoted the just a part. She's being a little sarcastic here. So okay, so let's go back to when you were
Yeah.
quote unquote just a nurse, which is such a freaking hard job. How did you get to where you are now?
So I was a nurse doing women's health, labor delivery, blah, blah, blah. And then I couldn't get pregnant. And I'm carefully thinking who's going to hear this. I
Say it, just say it. Well, have Maddie edit anything out you want. Not really.
I
Doesn't have
was
to edit me, so I don't know why you should
I
get
was
that.
in my first marriage that didn't go well. And I was married and was working in women's health and could not get pregnant. And literally, like, I remember being in Martin Luther King school, and you would draw, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I drew a mom. Now, it might have been 1976. I don't know how cool it was, probably not. And I wanted to be a mom. I want to be a mom. Then
You
I worked with women. Huh?
always wanted to be a mom.
Always, always. So then for 72 months, I got my period, and it flipped me the finger every month, being like, not this month, not this month, not this month, 6 years, 72 times. Like, it's hard to stay optimistic.
And meanwhile, your friends are having babies.
Everybody
I was having babies.
accidentally getting pregnant, bitches. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
wasn't accidentally getting pregnant.
wasn't,
No, it wasn't.
no?
Well,
One
it
of the
wasn't.
pregnancies are.
Let's
Yeah.
revisit that. It wasn't accident, like I wasn't married with the kid. The second
Right.
one came quicker than I was like, oh,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just like, oh, I sat down and I got pregnant. And I was like, Mealy, that's so down.
Yeah, that's
And I had to go through infertility. But at the time, I also had to convince said husband of the time that, like, it wasn't real then. You know, it's 1999, right? Then. And it was like, what did they call that baby? Test tube baby? I mean, that's horrible.
yes.
That's what it was. And just because I happened to be in OB and happen to be infertile and happen to be a, you know, vapid reader, I just knew that this thing was around. And I found a person, but it was very new, like so new that insurance covered it because they didn't realize it would be $75,000. Now they know. And I had to convince a very unwilling partner. I guess he was still more willing then, that this was the only way I was going to get pregnant, and went through infertility, uno timeo,
Mhm.
and got pregnant. I know this is going to shock you, with quadruplets.
It's not
And
gonna shock me. You
I
fucking
know.
told me this when it happened.
That's why I'm telling you.
It is.
Quadruplets. Memorial Day weekend of 1999. I literally remember. I don't remember much. And it was a horrific pregnancy. I mean, you shouldn't be carrying 4 babies. And, you know, when the people who like you are getting you pregnant, they're putting everything in there and the kitchen sink, literally. So I wound up losing one of the babies, which was a godsend because I was so very sick. And I had braces, so I was sexy. And then I carried 3 till they were 30 weeks, delivered them. And probably by the end of my pregnancy, I don't think you saw me like the last month or so. I was no longer Lisa.
Well, when I did see you at I think it was 2 weeks after the babies, was it 2 weeks after the babies were born at your baby shower? Because we
Yeah, I don't even remember, but it was soon after.
Were like, you look like a skeleton. You know who you look like? Oh my God.
I know.
Sad. You look like Tom Petty. You know Tom Petty, how he had
The skull head?
God rest in peace, Tom Petty. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you look
So I
like.
look like a man who's dead.
And you had just had 3 children, and you were I mean, 90 pounds soaking wet,
Oh,
and
yeah.
skeleton.
And I was sick. I don't want to scare someone who's having triplets. Right. I was sick the whole time, like, you know, just of course. Yeah, I barely remember that day. And then the husband at the time, you know, knowing now what I know, was very incapable of handling that situation. Probably a lot of men would have had a little problem with 10-week premature infants. And then, you know, it really affects your life a tad. And then, so I realized looking back that in the last month or so of my pregnancy, I really, really was just one big anxiety bomb. What am I going to drive? I remember being so upset. What am I going to drive? But like, where do you put 3 car seats? And it keeping me awake. And feeling like at some point that felt like a little more thinking than other people might be doing.
Mhm.
So then after I had them, then I became way more what if. Like, what if they stop breathing because they're early and there's only me, but there's 3 of them, could 2. And like the voice in my head never stopped. I told my OB.
And that's what we now call intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told him, and he was a friend, and I was very shocked, very shocked. And I said, I don't feel like myself. And he said, of course, well, you're not. You just had 3 babies, you silly goose. And I was like, no, I know, but I really, like, there's like a voice in my head. Like, I'm not hearing things, but maybe I'm hearing things, and it's not talking nice to me. And he's like, you just need a break. My wife gets like that after she has babies. I was by the Short Hill Mall. I lived there then. He goes, try the Short Hills Mall. They have great shoe shops. Get out of the house. And do you know, I'm not kidding. I've told this story before. And at the time I was like, okay, all right, I'll go get shoes, obviously.
So let me stop you. I'm sure this doctor, he didn't know any different.
No, he
He
didn't.
wasn't trying to be a dick, right?
No, he wasn't. No, he was just being a man.
Yeah. No.
And when someone says that to you and you actually are like, oh, yeah, maybe I just need Converses. I mean, well, I must have, I don't know. And you're like, I'm not saying that out loud again, because I think he thinks I'm crazy. So I didn't say it again. And by the time they came home, they weren't in NICU because they were early. And then they came home and I had to have my gallbladder out because that's what was making me sick. I had pancreatitis. They kept me overnight in the hospital because they felt bad for me. And I was like, thank you. Because it was like the first night I slept in like 23 days.
Wow.
Yep. And
how do we get from obviously what is put you into PMADs? What does PMADs stand for, Lisa?
perinatal mood and anxiety disorders.
Perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. So let's move forward. So you went through this.
Yep.
Have no help.
Nope.
No help exists, and then you're afraid to tell everybody because, understandably so.
I heard how crazy
They're
it
gonna take my
sounded.
kids from me. They're gonna. I'm losing my mind. How do you go? First of all, do you ever get help? And then how do you go from there to then saying, okay, I'm going to start something that nobody wants to talk about and everybody's afraid? It's like, how do you make that leap?
I did get help, but I had to do it. Like I had to be like, oh, I have triplets and they're too much work and I can't do it myself, as opposed to like, I'm hearing voices and I haven't slept in a year and I see things and I'm not okay. So I don't even remember how I got Agnes of God.
Did you see dead people? I'm
I
sorry.
did not.
Okay.
I did see fluorescent white spiders.
Ooh.
I know. Isn't that specific?
What were they doing?
They were on a wall in my bedroom, but like en masse. You know how you see like ants like
Mm-hmm.
And that night I called a friend who wasn't really a close friend and said, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
She was a nurse. I said, I can't stay awake anymore because I had 3 babies eating every 3 hours, took 2 hours to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to change a diaper. Like it was just for shit. And she came over because she heard in my voice. I still thank her in my like in my Buddhism when I'm there. And then I hired Agnes of God. I called her. She was a 21-year-old Polish girl who saved my life.
How'd you
She
find
came
them?
every day. She saw I was not okay. She was a very strict, blunt child taking care of a 34-year-old woman and 3 premature babies and a dog that was a little not nice. And she would come, I think like 3 days a week from like 10 to 6. And I survived because of her. I really did.
Okay, so that was, how old were the babies at this point?
They were like 8 weeks old.
Okay, so then when do you go back to work and when do you start?
So now I'm still married to.
I experienced this because now you see a need. It's like any other business owner. Now I see this is
So
something.
now then I have an accidental 4th. I go back to nursing to literally pay for bananas and gas. And I only can work on weekends or Friday when like my mom and his mom can come over and watch 4 kids under 2. So I go back to work. Could be 1 day a weekend, could be 3. It was great. I got to pee, I got to eat, I got to listen to music, I got to be Lisa It was great. Very, very quickly. I was on postpartum now, not in labor and delivery. I quickly saw people. I felt like it was seeing dead people, like Sixth Sense. Like I'd walk in and I'd be, she's not okay. And they're like, she's been fine all day. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I don't feel okay. And I knew I could just feel it was the same thing. I didn't know what it
Like a
was.
look in their eyes, like that vacant kind of like.
Yeah. And scared.
Mhm.
And so this was 2001. It took me till 2005, 2006 to, I just sort of like took care of them quietly on my own. Like you'll be like, just you'll okay. I okayed them. You're okay. I know it's hard, but nothing else. And did never say to myself like, oh, I have a thing. Never. 2006 or 7, whatever, New Jersey governors like all women leaving the hospital have to have this freaking stupid Edinburgh postnatal scale to make sure they're okay. There was no plan of what to do with these women if the score was high, or if they checked a question saying, I feel like hurting myself, or if they just checked 4 questions saying, I'm not okay. There was just a plan to give them a test. And I became the nurse who did that on the floor, knowing that I could feel that that was what I had. So then, but I didn't tell anybody, because then I was like, so it is a mental health condition. Awesome. Who's going to want me to be their nurse? I wasn't on medicine. I wasn't in therapy. I wasn't anything, but they definitely identified it as a, mental health disorder. Like it was very much like that. And I just was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. So lived there for a while and just became the nurse on the floor that gave everyone these tests. And then I just started like texting them and giving them love and very, very little, Shannon. And then when I saw them like level up, I had a friend who was a therapist, Pat, and I would call her and she would call them and she would take care of them. Again, not getting paid. We don't get paid.
Right. You just saw a need and you were like, I know what these people are doing.
I know what they're feeling. And then by 2011, I knew I would be getting divorced. And there was a job at another hospital, part-time job that I could do and still mostly seem like the mom who was home. So I took that. In that was a weekly support group for new moms that I had to run. It was mandatory. So I go down there the first week, and it's a room full of angry, sad, anxious people who just had a baby. And I'm like, these are my people. And so,
So is it just they're the only ones who showed up?
mhm,
Wow.
because they're looking
now
for,
thinking about it, I never went to any kind of support group for new
if
moms.
you feel
I-
like
I go there.
you're like out of the park, you're over here, you're doing that. But if you don't, you're looking for validation that what you're feeling, someone else is feeling too, or you want to see someone else's face. Like you feel so different.
But it was just a general old
Yeah,
thing.
it was so funny. So I said to, and they were 2 women of a certain age, very lovely women who had probably broken the glass ceiling a number of times themselves. And I said, I really think that this group should be called the New Moms Group. It should be called, I think I called it postpartum adjustment. And they're like, wah, 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 wah. And so I secretly called it that. But on the paper, it said New Moms. And then I started doing that group every week, and it became known as the Sad Moms Group, like underground, like Harriet Tubman.
Oh, wow.
So it was crazy. And it was just so like well attended, shall we say? Like they had no idea what to do with me. They were just like,
Did you have to move from a little room to a bigger room to a bigger room? Like,
he just kept moving me around from like the 4 top to the 8 top to the conference room. And then I started taking the numbers from the group, like 11 women, 10 women, 18 women, 5 women, and having them sign in and sending those rosters to the head of psych and saying, I think that we should start a program here to help these women. They come every week and I give them resources and references, out of here. What if I bring those women in here and they work here? And they're like, there's not enough people in the world to have that as a program. I'm like, there really is. So I did it like just annoyingly every week for months.
So let's stop this for a second, because I think this is when you talk to any successful women who have built businesses, one of the things is They adjust. They adjust. It's you didn't have a plan to do all this.
No,
You saw a
no.
need. You had to fill that need. So you just started.
Yes, and had no
Don't
right starting it.
ever- That's wrong. You did have every right.
Well, they
People
do like
are always waiting till the right time. And you and I have had this discussion many times. What's the plan? What's the plan? I want to, and I'm obviously not with this, but with other ventures that we're involved in together. Well, how are we going to do this? Well, you just do it. You just go because you're talking to me now. You just do it. And
it's
the path
it
almost shows its way, doesn't it?
does. And the more you
And you're gonna
just
fuck up, and that's okay. And you're gonna have to adjust.
oh, yes.
But the path still shows its way.
And looking back,
Failure and
hindsight,
success.
just follow the path.
Yes.
So I just annoyed people. I somehow then got like literally, and then people came to me. They weren't supposed to be with me. Like this head of operations man, the nicest man ever, no kids. Come to find out he and his wife are experiencing infertility. He felt drawn to the project. I had no idea why, but he's a CEO in the hospital. Then a woman
Yes, people are
comes,
people. They're not
yeah,
titles. They're not brick and mortars. They're not structures. I was having a conversation yesterday with I don't even know who, and they said, well, B2C and B2B are very different when it comes to marketing. I'm like, let's stop for a second. It's
I don't even
people
know what
to
that
people.
is.
Well, business to business, business to consumer. But really, it's just person to person.
Mhm.
That's all it is. It's all people behind those titles.
Mhm.
All
And exactly that. It's the great equalizer. So because I didn't know exactly what you just said, Shem, because I didn't know you shouldn't then ask said CEO for a bigger room. Like you bypassed 4 fucking steps. And I was like, I'm sorry, but can I have the room? Because I need the room. I have all these people and the strollers are creating some sort of a fire hazard. And people would constantly say, you can't just. And I was like, I didn't, no one said that. I didn't go to a class to become a manager or business. I'm a nurse who had a thing, who sees a thing. So if he has a room, I will take his room. Thank you. And all the people who were helping me were the higher ups. And that's, people don't like that either. You should pay your,
follow the
like,
steps. Follow.
yeah, you should have to be like a little person, then a medium person, then a big person. I didn't know I was a big person because I felt like a little person because that's, you know what I mean? Like that's how we
Well,
feel.
we all view things as, oh, that I need to do it to get there. Well, if you are providing something that is of value, that is changing lives, that is changing an industry, I'm sure, and not to be all, businessy, it probably brought a lot of money into the hospital.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure that was a big part of it. There's the value there, and then the value with people.
right,
And you obviously, and it was your thing. So when you don't know to be afraid,
right.
you do amazing things.
That's exactly right.
What prevents
Through naive, through
women?
being naive
Yes. You didn't
or
know.
just focus. Like how stupid that you would have to write to get a therapist to be part of the hospital when she's only being paid if she's here, which I'm billing. What? And they're like, well, she should be full time. And I'm like, she doesn't want to be full. We don't need full time. Why does she have to be full time? That's our
Policy or
hiring
process.
model.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
And I
model.
was like, well, that's stupid. There should be job sharing for women and let us work to meet the need, not one full timer. I mean, it's like I was speaking Mandarin to people and they would just look at me like, no. And I was like, why? And by the third meeting, they're like, fuck it, I don't know. Let her have one part-timer cut in thirds. And they did. I know. I swear to God, I really think I just sort of annoyed them. Like, why?
Right.
And after a while, it just became
when rules are in place and processes are in place for so long, and sometimes they no
no
longer
one questions it.
or fit what is the need, so you have to make the changes.
And it made sense for the women who were in the field, therapists or nurse practitioners, were of the same age. The relevance was so great, the genuine, authentic women helping women, but no one had time to be full time, but people had time to work 2 days a week. And then the next one could work 2 days a week, and the other one could work 1 day a week.
So now let's do a visual. So now you went from meeting, and I remember it was a little tiny closet or whatever.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, bigger room, bigger room, bigger room. You have all the moms coming. You get a buy-in from the higher ups who you're not even supposed to say hello to or look directly in the eye at.
Right.
You don't know any better. And you've also changed the way they allow staffing at the hospital.
When I got moved to this location, I actually heard that they said I was a staffing model.
Oh, really?
I was like, really?
By using common sense, right?
Mhm.
For what people need. But before you're at the location you're at now, so they went from having nothing to creating an entire, I'm going to call it a wing, because
It's a
I
wing.
went there and it was the Center for, tell me the name.
The Center for Perinatal Mood and Anxiety Disorders. And
Yeah.
it was in the basement of the hospital in a corner. They gave us, just like you said, it was one room. Literally, there'd be so much estrogen in that room. We'd all had to take our tops
When
off.
you started.
Yeah. And then I was like, I can't fit in the room anymore. I need another room. And like the housekeeping guy was my friend, and he'd unlock a door and show me a room that was empty, and he'd make me a key. So now that was my room. That's how I did it. And they'd give
How
me
did you get from all of that to them creating an entire wing, which I used to go visit you at?
I think because it started because there were so many women started talking. And so I think that somewhere along the line, someone was someone's wife, brother, sister, you know what I mean? And it got to like the
network.
right person, unintentionally.
Mhm.
And then it became this like little gem in the hospital because no one had it. There was never another one in New Jersey. I was lovely to drag out, and I would cry, and I was so thankful. And the women were so wonderful, and they became really proud of it. And they used it to get what's called the magnet status for hospitals. It's a nurse exemplar program. It has to be a nurse created, driven, initiated project.
Oh,
Here I am. Yep. And here I am. I have an associate's degree, which is like, it's whatever. It's not a bachelor's. They assumed I had a bachelor's. I did not. I didn't tell them I did. I didn't lie. They actually assumed at one point I had a master's. I do not. And the very thing that made them one of their the stones for them to be this magnet certified hospital was this program created by a nurse with just an associate.
Oh, what a sweet little girl you are. Look at what
Like you. Yeah, they're going to take my title away and a little bit of salary because they weren't sure that they didn't realize I didn't have a higher degree. So they changed my title. They took back money.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Let's stop. So you created this entire center, this wing of this hospital for something that never had been done before. And I remember it was in the news. It was a huge deal. You're very well known across the country as I call you the OG of PMADs.
I am.
Then they found out years and years and years later.
Years and years and years.
So we're going to take away your title and pay you less money.
Hmm?
So fucking stupid.
So fucking stupid. I called the head of HR and I'm like, I just want to, and what's funnier is it had to do with this magnet status being attained. And he said, we just didn't know how to handle it. There's 3 of you in the hospital. I'm like, 3 of what? And he said, like a word like manager or director, you know what I mean? Of a unit, of a program, of a thing that don't have bachelor or higher degrees. I'm like, uh-huh. And he said, so we can't have that for magnet status. I go, do you get the irony of what you're saying? You just wrote a 7-page.
So they're getting magnet status because of what you created.
Yes.
But they don't want you. Yeah, okay.
No. And somehow I did it without any knowledge and literally and not pretty sometimes. And no one owned us. No one, you know what I mean? I couldn't go like, Shannon, how do you do the da-da-da? Like, well, the da wasn't being done because I didn't know the da needed to be done. So it never got done.
Right.
Only when it becomes so big and is making millions of dollars, does some accountant somewhere look and be like, they didn't do the da. And I'd be like, hi, my name is Lisa. And no one ever showed me anything. They're like, all right, little cute little girl, you just go do that. But now there's thousands of women and millions of dollars. And what's that word? Like, famous shit happening and people coming, and I'm a subject matter expert. And they're like, what is happening? And they couldn't rein it in. So they had to make it bigger.
What do you mean they had to make it bigger?
We couldn't fit anymore. So now those same nice CEO people of Monmouth are like, all right, we're going to make a new building. You want a piece of it? And I was like, sure. They're like, what do you want in it? I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Here we are, 4,000 square feet, a year and a half.
So
And
how many, so this, you said it's all started, so it's about a what, 15-year journey more?
started in 2015 to 2017, the underground one room that you saw. 2017 was when they accepted me, and it was the opening. So I had all the other little rooms. Between 2017 and 2021 was the growth.
Okay.
And we came here in 21 and we've doubled again.
How
It's
many
like
people do you have working for you right now?
18. I still don't know how to do it.
You know how to do it fine.
No, I don't know how to do it. I do it by telling everyone to take vacation, take days off, make sure your mental health is okay. Please leave early. Please come in late.
Well, it's obviously working. So you do it by being a human.
Yeah.
Which is what it is. Okay, so we are back. You didn't know we left. We left actually for the weekend because we were in the process of talking, and then as I'll just say it, as women and mothers and wives and girlfriends and
friends and sisters and leaders and followers and
business owners and
mental load people.
Yep, we had a stop in the middle. Well, I mean, we were kind of towards the end, but we had to stop in the middle of our podcast, and that's okay. Right?
That is okay.
You do it. I think we tend to, especially as women, get like we have to do all the things all the time and finish everything
Perfectly.
right. And this is perfect too, doing it right. So I hope you. So let's go back. Did you have a good weekend?
I don't even remember it. I think I did. Yeah.
I don't remember things.
I don't remember it. I'm taking an online course for highly young middle-aged people. It's an art course.
Artist?
I'm gonna what?
Become an artist?
No. It's like art for people who are creative, but not necessarily artistic. But you do need to be able to sit still for a while, and I'm having an issue with that.
So what are you learning? What are they teaching you?
It's actually called mixed media, and it's kind of stuff I've poked around with my whole life. And now here I am at this juncture in my life where I have time. It's making, like, I do a lot of work with moms where I give them cards or like words of the day or like a gratitude journal. It's all kind of but I love to make it with my hands and give it to them. I hear how this sounds, and this is sort of like making pretty or artistic paper. I again hear how that sounds, but it would be like a gift from moi to you, said mom, that says like, don't stop. You are loved. Give up. And just big enough to have in your little bag. It's little.
You see.
I didn't make it yet. This is one I just made for here. And I did a QR code for the center.
Because graphic arts.
It's a ton of weird stuff. It's like paper and tissue paper and stickers, and I rip pages out of books, and I like paint on phrases and stuff. It's bizarre. Huh?
So like something I would hate.
I know.
But what I do love that the learning continues, the classroom continues. And I think I don't know. I was probably listening to a podcast the other day, and
your
someone
boyfriend.
My pretend scientist boyfriend, Dr.
I have since followed him because he's gorgeous.
His
Do we get to meet him someday?
Let's manifest it. Let's put it in
Ooh.
the world. I think none of that stuff. Famous people do nothing for me. Like if I meet him, I'd be like, hey, yeah.
I feel like I would like Ryan Reynolds. I feel like I'd be like, hey, Deadpool, hilarious. Like,
Right.
I feel like I'd have something to say to him.
Right. But no, yes, Dr. Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
I'm suffering with allergies a little bit, so bear with me, which I've never had in my life, ever. And TK.
Know what we say in New Jersey? Tis the season for sneezing.
Okay, that was super dope. Oh my, please don't say that ever again. My nose is going to start running. But I've never had allergies. TK has, my son has had horrible allergies. And then they came over me. I'm like, are you kidding me? And we
They're
took
bad.
and the doctor's like, they're just horrific now. And I asked other people who've never had them, and everybody's had them. And so I'm just.
Are you in a 7-year? 59. You are. That's why your body changes every 7 years. So like things that you've been used to or didn't have a reaction to, some people like milk, some people like allergies, some people like gluten. Every 7 years, your body kind of is like, and
So
it resets.
7 years from birth? So it would have been.
You know, I don't know, Shannon. I don't work in specifics.
Oh, don't ask too much.
Right. Why argue?
Okay, so we'll wrap it up.
I don't even know where we were.
I don't either, but I know we were talking about your
Creation.
journey from a closet with women. That sounds weird. Okay. To having the entire center. We were talking about how you did it without kind of asking permission, and just were like, we're not knowing, and how it's a wonderful approach. Because it doesn't, as women, we were like, should I do this? I don't know if
like if there had been rules, I would have talked myself out of it. You're right.
There were rules you didn't know about.
So that was okay.
So there were rules, because there's always rules. But these rules are, I don't want to say they're arbitrary. They're put in place for a reason. I have,
right.
Yes, you would want to call rules for my employees and businesses and processes that have to be done in a certain way. But if we on a business end as an owner,
right,
business leader, if you stick to them without pivoting and adjusting, you're going to lose. And if, as someone who is trying to build their business, if you allow just the mere existence of them to prevent you from pursuing something that is right, not just for yourself, because
it's worthy,
will solve problems, will help other people, prevent moving forward because it's not the right time, or I don't know enough, or I'm not, you're not going to get anywhere. So you kind of did it without knowing either.
I'm glad.
So it would be great if we could suspend that in our brain, like kind of you did, and be like, well, I don't know, I'll just go this way. And I know there are some people who do that, and I don't want to be all man versus women. I don't think men put those barriers in front of themselves as much as women do. So if women get anybody who is starting a business or something where they are like, I have value. I know this is right. I know this can help these people. I know that, I want to share my whatever with the world, my knowledge, my skills, my crafts with the world.
You're going to love it when I send you one.
I'm sure. Oh, I love when
I think you should come over and do it with me.
Let's be realistic here. I love when people do things that I have no interest in, that I feel like
never saw coming. Right.
I'm like, that's great. Give it to me. New stuff. But I think if anybody takes anything away from this conversation, I'm sure it will be much more than this. But I don't know. Act like Lisa and pretend you don't know the rules. No.
And once someone does tell you the rules, literally my boss was in here today. So now, I'm in 7 years later, right? I'm in my 5th decade of life. I'm in the I don't give a flying fuck. That is also a beautiful place to be, because I get the back third of our life, like sort of is, I'm rethinking everything, and it's a freedom, and it lets you speak to people, not like bad or disrespectfully, but she was in here this morning and she was like giving me my review and I'm like, nah. And she's like, goals for this year. I'm like, I'd like to work less. I want to work 3 days a week and job
I'm gonna
share.
stop you right now. We can't post this.
Oh,
Think about it.
no, because I don't care.
Okay, all
No, I
right.
don't care.
Okay, so let's go.
So I said I'd like to, job share with one of the nurses I've had here forever because it would fit in her life and it would fit in mine. And I don't think I've ever said this. I'm a creative person and this is stifling me to sit here 5 days a week. I could be helping on a more abstract, broader,
Mhm.
fun-loving way.
More
And she's like,
creative way, which
yeah,
means
yes, this
productive.
stops me.
The passion has to be there. If you are placed in a situation, and rightly so, you placed yourself in this position.
I'm happy.
Realize now, okay, but now in order for that passion to stay ignited, in order for me to continue to grow, the environment for me, for you, for me, and I do this as well, has to change.
Yeah.
I'm in my office now in our building.
And look at it.
And it's great, but you know what? When I need to be creative, I go somewhere else. I'll go home, I'll go to Starbucks. Certain things I know I've learned for myself that it's not working here, mainly because I get interrupted and I have to solve more.
Same, exactly.
Yeah.
So here I am trying to think of points I want for a PowerPoint that will be so worthy, Shannon. I know it. It'll be for nurses. It'll be for frontline workers. It's the right time. When you have to schedule time to think creatively, really constipates you.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing when she came in.
So what was the result of the?
She said, the world isn't ready for that yet. I said, bullshit. I said, there's people all over doing it. I said, and we know now women are more than 50. Well, I think she meant this world, maybe specifically hospital, maybe specifically.
But that's still,
It is so stupid. It's so blind.
Stupid. It's
Short-sighted.
There's a lot of hubris in that she knows what the world is ready for.
Oh, she does. Yes, she
So
does.
the world is ready for, do you? Does anybody?
Yes, I got the book and it said it's ready for women to job share and to work from places. Yeah, it actually starts on the 29th. I have 1 week left. There's no reason that you can't think. There's no reason that a job, any job, like even a doctor or a lawyer, women doctors are working part-time now. That's like mind-blowing to people. Why is it mind-blowing? Why do they have to work full-time, or they don't count? Or is it they don't, what is the problem that they're opting to? There's 2 doctors here. I'm like, cool. They're like 32 years old, working 3 days a week. I'm like, live your life, girl. You are so smart.
When you have the ability to take care of things outside your life, live your life, not just take care of things, but live your life as well. When you do come back to your job, you're going to be so much better.
And that's what I said. And she's like, they're just not ready, Lisa. I said, well, I plan on getting down to 3 days a week here this year. So I guess they better get ready.
There we go.
And I said it. And I really, 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 I'm exploring other things so that I will feel full. I need to feel more than full, but I get it. Like you and I could do this job together with our minds, with our sharing, totally fine. No one would know who was doing what unless it was finding the cloud. Where me and Carolyn could do this job and our communication of work wife, no one would know if it was me responding or her responding.
Right.
But their minds are so, you must be here 5 days a week full time in order to do this. Well, what if I just didn't and I didn't tell you and you didn't know?
Are they open to a test period? Like for 6 months, we're going to do it and see how it goes. I mean, you would have to have ways to track and analyze.
Track it. Yeah. No, that's what I'm going to think about too. After I think about the PowerPoint, I'm going to schedule to think about that on Friday.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
No.
Scheduled to think about that on Friday.
And it is, and I love it. You know, I love it. I thrive off chaos and people. But if you were able to be somewhere that you set or picked or chose in your house, in your kitchen, in your car, then it's you and no one's interrupting me. And then you flow and you think, God, this has worked. So why wouldn't this work? This would work. And then you're on to the next thing. But if you never have time out of the machine,
And this is a machine that you created, which is
Yes.
wonderful because, but what that says is that's okay to create something to, I don't want to say achieve your goals because it's not like there's an end. So, you know what I mean? It's also okay to then change
Yeah.
and maybe walk away from it.
Yeah.
You're ready for something else.
Yeah.
It still exists. It's thriving. You've created something
Yeah.
that will continue to help moms and continue to do that. But if it no longer suits you, if it no longer does
Like
what it,
lights that fire. Maybe it's because there is more to do. Like, just like you're saying, there is this. And I truly, I could never see myself away from it, but I could see being here less for the day-to-day kind of stuff that bores me, but not the humans and not the pain
right.
and not the feelings.
Mhm.
But I think in those other days, so many other things could be accomplished to make it pay off in a bigger way. That sounds so conceited.
It doesn't sound
It
considered.
does.
I think it's not, because I'm going to tell you why.
Do you know what I mean? I don't mean like, I mean,
No. What you're looking for is the next step. The growth, the you know me. I hate when things are done because I hate the
Yes,
done
you
part.
do.
I don't care about.
Yeah.
I like the process.
Me too.
I think it's all so now you're ready to go back into the process.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
well,
Shannon, that was good. Thank you. I'm going to cancel my therapy appointment.
how do you oh please, I did a little therapy with a teenage girl last night
Ugh.
about toxic people. She's like, well, I was talking to him and whatever, and I'm like, oh no, toxic people, you don't get into it. You walk.
Mean don't change and toxic don't learn. So run.
They want you to interact. You can't reason with them. You can't explain.
That's their fuel.
They can say that is, you can say, well, the sky's blue. Well, no, it's actually, it's a whole thing. I'm like,
It's
no,
a prism. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
no. I'm like, no, you don't even get mad. Don't even try. Don't be sarcastic. Just say,
Nope.
okay, or say no. And then just, that's it.
I mean, like a million times, I want to write a million books that are just top 10s.
Right.
Top 10 reasons to run when you're 25. They don't say God bless you. End of the book. Okay. If they don't say God bless you, you're not going to get much more. That
Bless you.
Mhm.
That's a little. What if
I
they,
tested it.
what
I
if-
tested it.
oh, wait a minute. It depends. What if they're from another country where that's
Then
not-
they say Gesundheit. But do you know
Well,
what
anyway.
I mean? Like, it's such a basic, it's up there with please and thank you. Like, it's just a weird thing. You teach kids, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. It's weird. And if you sneeze,
I think it's cultural.
all right, I'm not kidding you, this week, try it out amongst different people, different ages, different
I
places where
mean,
you
in
are.
our culture, but I'm saying if we went to Austria,
But I'm in our culture. I'm not helping people in Finland. They're fine.
they're in the dark. They're not so
In the dark.
Okay, but this I'm gonna kind of wrap it up here because you definitely had a morning. It's kind of nice we had that break.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to check back and find
Yeah.
out,
Because I really said it, Shan.
because you said it out loud. You
did.
put it on the podcast, so now you kind of
Yeah.
have,
And I do. I feel that
and that's very hard to do.
and I've been circling it for a while,
I know you have.
and it's not leaving, it's changing, because it would be better to teach the people coming up how to work in this field.
Mhm. Yeah.
Better to,
Well, how else will what
exactly.
and if you're not teaching other people to do it?
Yep. And no one is, because no one's doing it.
Yep. And the next time you're on here, we'll talk about the Bloom Foundation, which a big part of that is teaching other people. But again, that's a nonprofit, so there's only so much time that can be given
Yeah.
and still work a day job. And you and I have talked about this.
Yep.
But
It's so unfair. There's got to be a sugar daddy out there that just loves middle-aged women with a
Your
purpose.
husband would appreciate you finding
Oh,
this.
yeah. You know, I feel like he would understand that.
He's the most delightful man.
He's
I
delightful.
love that man. I love that man. Anyway, I think
You're
he's
so funny.
But so now you put it out there
Mm-hmm,
and we're going to check back
mm-hmm.
and find out what happened. So it's there.
Yeah, I'm cool. Hold me to it.
Oh,
I am.
I will.
Damn it.
All right, my love.
I'm ready to be a disruptor,
There we go. Well, you always have been a little bit.
right? God bless you, Shannon.
Bless you too. I love you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
That is a wrap on episode 3. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Our next episode is the one you can't afford to miss. Our very own Amanda McLaughlin of Viva Aesthetics joins us. That's all I can say for now, but be sure you're following so you can be notified when it comes out. From all of us at Vitality Ventures Group, thank you for your support on our mission. How are you using your power?